right, let's hit the field.
All rise.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
Today is Tuesday, October 15th, and it was Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between the Guardians and the Yankees. Gerrit Cole on the mound trying to give the Yankees a commanding 2-0 lead, but would the offense cooperate? My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is Pinstripe Territory.
Welcome to the New York City.
Pinstripe Territory.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling pretty good. Yankees have taken a commanding 2-0 lead in the American League Championship Series, and now the series heads to Cleveland, and the Yankees are 2 wins away from heading to the World Series. Now, it is not going to be easy in Cleveland. Their crowd gets absolutely bonkers during the postseason. Also, I do need to say it, the midges that took down Jabba Chamberlain in 2007 will be out in full effect. I still have trauma from that game because Chamberlain was unhittable down the stretch, 0.38 ERA. Joe Torre actually said that one of his biggest mistakes of his career was not pulling his team off the field during that infestation. But once again, the Yankees jumped out to an early lead. If you had told me this morning that Tanner Bybee would only last an inning and a third, I would have told you to put down the crack pipe. The Guardians were 24-9 in his starts this year coming into tonight, including the playoffs. And the Yankees got him out early. They put the pressure on. Another multi-hit game from Gleyber Torres. He went 3 for 5 with a couple of runs scored, hitting .292 in the playoffs now. And he has had a resurgence since moving into the leadoff spot. Also, some guy named Aaron Judge picked up a sac fly and a 2-run homer. And he has silenced the critics, at least momentarily. And I'm glad, because I couldn't take another night of the whole Judge sucks, Judge is a choker comment when we know that he's an amazing player, he's an amazing hitter, he's a great Yankee. He's going to be a 2-time MVP when this season is over. And it was just a matter of time before he started putting some runs on the board. He's now driven in 4 runs in the last 2 games. We'll talk more about him in a minute. Multi-hit game from Anthony Rizzo, who is swinging the bat incredibly well for a guy who has 2 broken fingers and who hadn't faced live pitching since, 2 weeks ago? I mean, he's been incredible. We got to give a shout out to Anthony Rizzo. Just a big night for him. You have to consider moving him into the cleanup spot. Wells went 0 for 4 again tonight with a couple of strikeouts. He is now hitting .083 in the postseason. And Rizzo, .429 since coming back. There is something to be said for if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and the Yankees keep winning. But there's also something to be said for playing the hot hand. And Rizzo certainly appears to have his timing back. So, I don't know what Aaron Boone is going to do, but I would certainly consider moving Rizzo up in the order. Gerrit Cole labored through 5 innings tonight. He left with a 3-1 lead and the bases loaded in the 5th inning. Not his best outing. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Yankees ran themselves out of an inning in the 6th inning. It was Jazz Chisholm. He had finally a big hit. He smoked a double off the wall, but immediately won the Trojans Boner of the Week award by getting picked off at second base. Rizzo also got thrown out on the bases. More sloppy baseball from the Yankees. Great call by John Sterling, by the way.
That's what they do. Run the bases like drunks.
John Sterling, one of a kind. But it was the Judge home run in the 7th that opened up a 4-run lead. And, the way the Yankees bullpen has been pitching, you kind of felt like that lifted an enormous amount of stress from the stadium, from the players, and from me, as well as probably from many of you, I'm sure. It seemed to add some stress to the broadcasters, especially Ron Darling, who is obnoxiously biased in this game, clearly rooting against the Yankees. just would not shut up about how great Cleveland is, about how great their crowds are, how great their bullpen is. You know, guess what, Ron? It's 2-0 Yanks, and this series may not head back to New York City. Yankees now 2 wins away from the American League pennant and 6 wins away from World Series championship number 28. All right, so before we get to Judge, let's talk a little bit about Garrett Cole's outing. I felt like he was so-so, and we got a bunch of super chats. I'll get those in a minute. As I mentioned this morning on the voicemail show, aces don't really get to have bad games in October. That's part of what comes with being an ace, right? It's like being a bomb diffuser. You're not allowed to mess up, not even once. But if you do, it's not your problem. But as an ace, you're expected to perform every single time out. And that's why you get paid an astronomical amount of money to be at the top of a Major League Baseball rotation, because you're expected to come through when it comes down to the big games in October. And what you saw tonight was a guy who's been an ace in his career, who no longer has the best stuff in the league, but knows how to pitch, pitched out of some jams, managed to keep the Yankees in the game even though he wasn't dominating. It was clear from the very beginning he didn't have his dominating stuff. He was able to pump it up to 98 miles an hour a couple of times, but he's hitting a lot of bats, missing the zone a lot of times, and his command was not as sharp as it was in his last outing. He walked 4 guys, but he kept the ball in the ballpark, and he left the game with the lead. Easy 1-2-3 inning. There were some scary foul balls off the bat of Jose Ramirez. You could see that home run coming because he was having good swings all night. He took one to the right field warning track. Figured he was seeing the ball well. It's only a matter of time before he gets going. He gave up a leadoff single to Josh Naylor in the second inning, and then went 1-2-3 to complete the shutdown inning. Another shutdown inning in the third inning. He gave up a walk and a single, but he got Ramirez out in a big situation as the tying run. In the fourth inning, things got messy. Bases loaded, 1 out. Cole pitched out of it with a pop-up and a strikeout, but you felt like he was expending a lot of energy there. He did get a big strikeout on a call that, really could have gone either way. It was a high breaking ball that caught the upper corner of the strike zone. So, we'll take it, but you wonder if he expended too much energy to get out of that inning. But he kind of fell apart in the fifth inning. Back-to-back singles and a walk to load the bases with nobody out. Naylor hit a sac fly. Cole loaded the bases again with a walk, and he was done after 89 pitches. Final line, 4 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Not his best outing. But solid. Let's talk about Aaron Judge. Now that we got 1,300 people in the chat, reminder to like and subscribe. We're here after every single game all season long. I wanted to point out that it's not just Judge who's been mostly shut down, and he has driven in runs on consecutive nights. Jose Ramirez hadn't really done anything in this series until he had a meaningless home run in the 9th inning today. Bobby Witt didn't do anything in the previous series. A lot of guys been shut down. Yet Judge is the one that gets talked about as being a choker, as being a regular season player, Mr. July, all this, all that. But his swings began to look better in Game 3 of the ALDS, and he had a big double in Game 4. And then I feel like the layoff kind of shook his rhythm a little bit, that he was just starting to get back. But tonight he seemed to be putting together better at-bats. He had the sac fly and then a 2-run shot to straightaway center field, and hopefully the dam is broken. Now he gets to soak in that for an off day. Nothing but positive feelings, positive vibes, and I'll bet that he sleeps really, really well tonight with his last at-bat being a home run. So let's get to the super chats. We got 6 super chats here. Ian, 1216, says, everybody note that John referred to the Guardians as the Indians multiple times during the broadcast. I hope you remember to take a shot each time. I love John, but, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? He's 80 years old. I'm going to forgive him. He hasn't been in the broadcast booth, and he's been, calling Indians games for 30-some-odd years before they changed the name. So Lightning Monkey says, Aaron Judge hecklers, you were saying? I had a couple of them talking smack tonight on Twitter, or X, as we call it now, with their excretions. That's what we call them instead of tweets these days. But awfully quiet right now. CM says, can we get John Sterling to say unbeweaverable when Weaver closes out a game? And then Aaron Judge is my Pookie, says, Yankees keeping me sane after that Jets game, with game in quotes. They did get Devontae Adams, so hopefully that's got you feeling pretty good, but tough game there against the Bills. Referee with the compliments here. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
More of that, please.
And Dylan says, Holmes is Mariano when he's not pitching the ninth inning. You know, Holmes has been incredibly reliable in the postseason. Again tonight with a really, really clutch performance. So Arav Mago says, why waste Hamilton there? Why waste Weaver there? Could have been Hamilton. Look, you go with your close. This isn't the time to rest, guys. This is the playoffs. You got a day off tomorrow. I say go for the kill. You know, and Weaver got it done. I don't see what the big complaint is. He's got a 0.57 whip. You ride that horse till she bucks you. That's what you do. Fawn Dania says, Wells needs to break out of this slump badly. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. Tough night, again, hitting 083 in the playoffs. So let's talk a little bit about Game 3, which will be in Cleveland. Tomorrow's voicemail show will be a little bit different. Instead of doing it in the morning, we're going to have a live 9 p.m. show, and Terrence will be joining us from the West Coast to help me respond to your voicemail. So you call in, throw out a topic, throw out a comment, a question, and we'll take the best ones and we'll respond to them. And we'll just have a nice little 30, 45-minute chat here in between games. But call in, 718-899-1068. That's Mantle, Didi, Yogi, Judge, Scooter, Dellin, if you go by numbers, if you need the uniform numbers to help you remember, or you could just write it down. Yankees will be running Clark Schmidt out there in Game 3. He's pretty much guaranteed to give you a solid outing, 4 or 5 innings, pretty much what you got from Garrett Cole tonight, 4 1/3, 2 runs, something like that. Every single time out, he just doesn't get clobbered. It doesn't happen. He's gutsy. And he had a bad game in Cleveland in the playoffs back, and I want to say was it 2021? Maybe it was 2022. He had a bad game in Cleveland where he served up a walk-off hit, and he wants to exercise those demons. Exercise the demons. And I'm looking forward to see what he will do. The key for the Yankees is going to be to continue to do what has been working in this series, and that is get on the board early, tack on some runs, and, get a nice lead so that you can't go to Emmanuel Clase. Or if you do, it doesn't really matter. Because as the announcers noted ad nauseum tonight, Emmanuel Clase is really good, and he's locked and loaded. All right, we're going to get to the recap here and break down the game.
All right, let's go. Let's get it going.
Get your belt votes in there. Get your belt votes. I'll make a decision here shortly. Let's recap. So another great at-bat to lead off the game from Gleyber Torres. 108-mile-an-hour double down the left field line. It feels like he gets on base to lead off the game every night in the playoffs. Every night. Soto followed up with a base hit through the right side. Second night in a row that they've had 2 hits in a row to begin the game. And then Judge followed up by popping one straight up. Would have been a home run in a silo, but the shortstop dropped it, and Gleyber Torres scored, and everybody was safe. I'm not going to lie. I was laughing my ass off. But, unfortunately, that was all the Yankees would get in the first inning. Base hit from Volpe to lead off the bottom of the second inning. Not the prettiest swing you'll ever see, but we'll take it. Rizzo followed up with another line drive single, hard line drive single, and Volpe with some nice base running to go first to third. Verdugo followed up with an outstanding piece of hitting with runners in scoring position. One of the few hits that the Yankees have gotten with runners in scoring position in this postseason. They went 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position tonight, left 7 guys on base, but he took it right down the left field line for a double to drive in a run. Guardians intentionally walked Soto with 1 out to pitch to Judge. You don't see that very often with the bases loaded. And Tanner Bybee was out of the game after an inning and a third. Judge picked up his second sac fly in as many days. That made it 3-0. And a game like tonight is where you see his presence, right? Even when he's not hitting, he's forced He forced the manager to make a decision there to get his starting pitcher out of the game who was not pitching well. Because if you leave him in there, there's a good chance that Judge hits a 3-run home run or a grand slam. And you really can't come back from that at that point. That would have basically turned the game on its head. So he was going batter to batter. They decide to walk Soto, and then they pitch to Judge, but he gets the sac fly. Fourth inning was pretty stressful, as I mentioned in the open, but nice job from Garrett Cole to pitch out of the jam. Fifth inning, again, pretty rough. Guardians loaded the bases a couple of times. They scored 2 runs, but Clay Holmes with a big strikeout to end the inning. Terrible bottom of the fifth inning for the Yankees. 3 outs. Judge, Wells, and Stanton after that big inning from the Guardians. They just went really quickly. Big inning from Tim Hill in the top of the 6th, 1-2-3 inning to preserve the lead. He went 1 2/3 tonight. He pitched really well. 6th inning, leadoff double from Jazz, and then Volpe walked. So you got the 2 fastest guys on the bases, and Jazz gets picked off the second base. Absolutely cannot happen there. Absolutely cannot happen there. What you got to do there is bunt them over and then try and get them in. Now, fortunately, after the pickoff, Rizzo did follow up with a line drive single to score Volpe, who was able to score for first. But as Kay always says, it's the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. You really could have had 2 runs there if they ran the bases like anything other than drunks.
That's what they do. Run the bases like drunks.
Bottom 7. 3rd hit of the game from Gleyber Torres. And that got his average over 300 for the postseason. He made an out in his last at bat, so it's down to 292, but a 933 OPS, just having an outstanding postseason. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It's another home run for Judge. All right. Here comes the Judge.
111.3 miles an hour off the bat. 414 feet to straightaway center field. And the crowd went absolutely bananas. We have been waiting for them to erupt. They finally got their chance. That made it 6-2 Yankees. Ramirez hit a home run in the top of the 9th, but the Yankees hang on to win 6-3, and they take a 2-0 series lead.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
The Virginian has the big takeaway from tonight. He says that Meredith Marakovits is tall. She is very tall. I've seen her in person. She is quite tall. Ziana Stunna says Jazz has been an absolute nightmare in the postseason. I wouldn't go so far as to say nightmare. He's played some good defense. He did hit a home run. He had a big double tonight, but got to run the bases like that. He's trying to be the hero. You feel like he's trying to do too much. Classic case of a guy trying to do too much. I just want him to settle in and relax. Hopefully that happens out there in Cleveland. Jedi Sith Lord says Wells was awesome behind the plate. He did play excellent behind the plate. Had a big block tonight. He's not hitting, but he is doing his job. And he's caught these guys who have pitched pretty well, especially out of the bullpen. So we got a couple of super chats here before we get to the belt. Dylan the Don. Sorry, we already got to him. Charlie Moore says TBS is horrible. Darling was horrible. Silence is preferable. I wish there was an option. And if somebody from Major League Baseball is listening, an option to turn off the announcers and just listen to the game sounds. They used to have that on MLB TV. I don't know if there's like a way to do that as an alternate audio button on TV. You figure with everything digital these days, you should be able to do that. Fordania says, usually when Judge homers, after a while he starts hitting hot. He will not show mercy in the away series. I agree. I think he's going to get ready to explode. But the problem is you got a day off tomorrow. You would love to have him having at-bats again tomorrow so he can stay hot. Bill Peterfriend says, do they bring Bibee back for a game 4? I would imagine they do. He didn't throw many pitches tonight. How many pitches did Bibee throw? I'm going to look it up real quick. He threw 39 pitches. So, yeah, he should be available not only in game 4, but possibly probably not, maybe not game 4, but possibly game 5 or game 6. The schedule's got me thrown off. But yeah, he'll be back. He'll pitch again in this series for sure. Charlie Moore says, Derek, so glad to see that you've made it. Been here since the early days. You earned it, my man. I appreciate that.
More of that, please.
The 7th director says postgame crew at TBS is whining over Cleveland's loss. That's not a surprise. Rick Marrero says, when we make it to the World Series, we have to play clean baseball. We can't make mistakes like we did today. Agree with that 100%. And D's channel says the ump gets the belt. Well, it's time to hand out the actual belt winner. It really came down to two choices for me today. It was either Gleyber Torres, who had 3 hits, a double and 2 runs, or the big man, the captain. And I went with the big man, Aaron Judge. By the way, Mets Up podcast in the chat. Hopefully we will have a Subway Series. If we do, we'll have to have a collab there, a little cross promo. But big night for the Yankees. They take a commanding lead in the series. Again, 1,500 in the chat. Make sure to like and subscribe. We're going to get a quick word from our sponsor tonight, HelloFresh. Then I'll be back with the box score and the StatCast deep dive on all the hardest hit balls and top distances and all that good stuff. See ya in about 60 seconds. Pop quiz. What is America's #1 meal kit? Well, that would be HelloFresh. And it even works for picky eaters like me. There's an ever-changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from every week. I just select my meals and my delivery date, and voila, home-cooked meals that just hit different. Listen, I cover a lot of podcasts, including this one, which means I spend a lot of time in the studio. I don't have time to search recipes all night or spend money on a whole jar of spices for just one meal. That's why I prefer HelloFresh, because my wife gets to spend more time with me. We even get to make meals together and avoid those last-minute trips to the grocery store. Dinner is ready when we need it. By the way, you can get free breakfast for life by going to HelloFresh.com/freeFT. That's one free breakfast item per box for the entire duration of your active subscription. That's free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeFT. Jeffrey Mosher says 100 wins on the season, 6 W's to go for championship number 28. I see a few people who are not super enthused about a Subway Series, possibly because the Mets dominated us this year. But if you go back and you look at those lineups, the Yankees really didn't have their best lineups out there. I think it'll be a really good series if these two teams match up. I also think it'll be a really good series if the Yankees and Dodgers play each other, and the ratings will be through the roof because you'll have the two biggest TV markets in the country. You'll have Judge versus Ohtani. You have Yamamoto. I mean, the ratings in Japan will be absolutely bonkers. It will be nuts. But let's go ahead and take a look real quick at the StatCast numbers for tonight. Top exit velocities. Aaron Judge, 111.3. Gleyber Torres, 108.2. I saw a few people say that Gleyber Torres should have had the belt. I definitely wanted to give him an honorable mention because he had such a good night and he's had such a good series. But fact is, Judge drove in 3 runs and he hit the big home run to break open the game. As you see there, 414 feet. Second longest shot of the night was Jazz Chisholm's double, 366. Top pitch velocity was Clay Holmes, 98.2. You see Garrett Cole with a couple of 98s, and then Clay Holmes with 97.8 with that nasty sink. 10 swings and misses from Garrett Cole, 5 from Tanner Bybee, 3 from Tommy Kahnle. And let's take a look at the box score here. Yankees out-hit the Guardians 11-8. We had Torres with a 3-hit night, Soto with a base hit in the first inning, Judge 1 for 3 with 3 ribbies, Wells 0 for 4, Stanton 0 for 4, cooled off for the night, but still hitting 300 in the postseason with an OPS over 1,000. I thought he just missed one too, just kind of got under it. I think he's going to be okay. Chisholm 1 for 4, pressing a bit, hitting 130 on the postseason. Volpe had a couple of hits up to 278 in the postseason with a couple of runs scored. That's the column you want to look at for Volpe. I want to see him scoring runs. I want to see him getting on base, using his wheels, and scoring runs. And Verdugo 1 for 3 with an RBI tonight and a walk. Big, big double. On the pitching side, Cole 4 1/3 with 2 runs. Holmes 2/3 of an inning, no runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Hill 1 2/3 of scoreless baseball. Tommy Kahnle with an outstanding night. 1 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball, and Luke Weaver with 1 inning and 1 run allowed, the home run to Ramirez. But a very good night for the New York Yankees, and baby, it feels like October. So let's go ahead and get some final comments in here. CM says, home just like October's in the 70s. I wish I could have seen some of those 70s teams. My dad always tells me the stories about, the 77, 78 teams. And, he was working at a phone company the night that Reggie hit 3 home runs, and apparently a cow wandered into the building or something like that. I don't know what that is about, but I wish I could have seen those teams. The 80s teams, the Yankees in the 80s had more wins than anybody, and they didn't make the playoffs after 81. So, they probably deserve better. If there was a wild card back then, they probably would have had some deep playoff runs. 90s, obviously, we know the story. The 96 season was probably my favorite October just because of the vibes. They hadn't been in forever, 18 years since their previous World Series championship. 94, they got robbed because of the strike, and then 95, they had a 2-0 series lead on the Mariners in the division series, and then they lost 3 straight. That was Mattingly's only postseason. They go out that offseason. They make some tweaks. They go ahead and they get, Tino Martinez and Jeff Nelson. And, there were some comments that maybe they destroyed a team that was, right on the verge. They lost Mike Stanley. They bring in Joe Girardi to catch. And that team just had unbelievable chemistry. Joe Girardi hits the big triple off of Maddox in Game 6. Yankees win the World Series. 97 was tough because I felt like they were going to repeat, but they had trouble with the then Cleveland Indians. Big home run off of Mariano Rivera by Sandy Alomar Jr. in, I want to say it was Game 4 or Game 5 of that series. I think it was Game 5 to tie the game late in the game. But then 98 through 2000 were just insane. The 98 year, it was almost stress-free during the playoffs except for a brief series, again, against the Cleveland Indians then, where they took a 2-1 series lead in the ALCS. But, in Game 4, El Duque came out and absolutely dominated and evened up the series. And then you got a great start from Wells, and the Yankees finished it off. So those are some of my favorite October stories. And it's fun to think about it. Back in the days when I wasn't doing the podcast, where I was just watching the games and enjoying them. These days, I still try and take time out to, enjoy the game as a fan and less as a podcaster. Now and then, there are at-bats that are big at-bats that I'll just set the computer aside and I'll just really tune into the game. And those are the best moments, man. And one of those at-bats tonight was the Aaron Judge 2-run home run. Unfortunately, one of those times was also the 6th inning when the Yankees were running the bases like drunks.
That's what they do, run the bases like drunks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Again, please like and subscribe. We're on a mission to get to 50,000 subscribers. We are part of the Foul Territory Network. They've got a ton of different podcasts. If you're a baseball fan in general, they got Dodgers. They got Braves, Hammer Territory. They got Northside Territory. We got Tigers Territory now. Actually, it's called Tiger Territory. And they got, honestly, the best logo of any of us. So, Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. So, like and subscribe to all those on all your favorite audio platforms, but most importantly, on YouTube. I'll be back tomorrow night for the voicemail show with Terrence Kem. So, call in 718-899-1068, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Ball game over.
If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and give us a subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. We're also on all your favorite podcast platforms and social media. Join the community, have some fun. We're here after every game. This is Pinstripe Territory.